Hello, and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Catherine Haleko, and I'm here with Terri Morrow. Say hi, Terri.
Hello.
So usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Terri and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics, because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. So this week, we are going to finish our catch-up of The Good Place. We are going to discuss the book, The Revolution Was Televised by Alan Sepinwall for our challenge round. But first, a quick summary of what we did on vacation, entertainment-wise.
Well, you had some long airplane rides.
I did. I watched the movie The Family Stone. That's what it's called, right? The Family Stone.
Yes, The Family Stone.
Which is a big ensemble romantic comedy with a ton of people in it. Sarah Jessica Parker, Diane Keaton, Craig T. Nelson, Luke Wilson, like a million more people. Rachel McAdams.
Yes, Elizabeth Reeser. But a romantic comedy, but also with many dramatic aspects.
Yes.
And some really uncomfortable scenes.
Yes, absolutely.
Of poor hospitality at the very least. So, it's a movie I saw and always kind of liked, even though I wouldn't say it's precisely good.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes there's something that just catches your fancy.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to link in the show notes. There's the podcast Try It, You Like It, which I think may be defunct now. I don't think they put out any new episodes for a while, but they had a really good podcast about it and about all the different aspects of it and how they felt like it was probably a drama that somebody at the studio said, hey, let's put some wacky comedy in this and put comedic music in it. And it's just makes it a really uncomfortable fit sometimes. But I still stick up for it. Did you recognize Brandanowitz there as the...
Oh, yes. Yes.
That guy was in movies for a while, and now I haven't seen him. Well, I never see movies, so I don't know. Maybe he's in every other movie.
He could be in dozens. You just don't know. Oh, yeah, I definitely recognize... I mean, I even saw his name in the credits ahead of time. I was like, oh, it's Brandanowitz. Oh, my gosh.
I get a kick out of it whenever I see him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So... that is an interesting movie to be offered on a plane. I would not expect it to be popular enough to turn up in something like that, but it's Christmassy.
It's very Christmassy. There were some very odd choices, and I mean, and dozens of movies. This is like where you have the seat back, and you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to music, you can watch TV, you can watch movies, and they have a range of things, and a lot of them are, like the TV show Claws. Have you ever watched that show?
I've heard of it.
It's, filled with sex and violence. Filled. I mean, you just can't even believe it's even on TV. I mean, it's on like a basic cable channel. But anyway, that was an offering.
Well, if somebody's sitting next to you watching that and you're like sitting there on the plane with your kids. It's like,
exactly. There's a lot of things like that are...
I mean, they'll have headphones on, presumably, but just the visual is going to be a problem.
Right.
Yikes.
Yeah, There was something else I remember I watched on the way to Iceland, and now I'm not going to remember. But I remember there was like a naked part where I was like,
oh my gosh,
I hope no one's walking past my screen right now.
You gotta put your hand up,
Yeah, it only lasted a second, but I was like, oh,
wow.
Stop. Anyway,
so airplane movies have changed since I traveled very much.
Things have changed, yes. So The Family Stone, and I started reading the book Winter's Tale, which was turned into a movie.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Which I received at my book club holiday book swap.
Was this the one that came with a candy bar?
It did, because it is like 750 pages long. So I didn't get that far.
That's a good airplane read there.
Yeah, I
down
read
your carry-on a little bit, but
at the pool and the beach, and But yeah,
so you
it's
went
big.
to Hawaii and you read a huge book called Winter's Tale. I think
Tales.
you're vacationing wrong.
Yes. I also
go to
read
Hawaii,
like People magazine.
You
and
sit
did
by a pool,
crossword
you read a
puzzles.
mystery or a romance.
I know. I'm doing it wrong. Exactly.
Show off. It's like me reading War and Peace in high school just so I could tote the book around.
Yes, exactly. So did you watch anything?
Well, as you know, my tradition, as I've mentioned many times, is to watch Love Actually on Christmas Eve as I wrap presents. Unfortunately, this particular Christmas Eve, I fell asleep on the couch and woke up on Christmas morning with presents unwrapped and movie unwatched. So, and tree unput up. So I watched Love Actually while we put up the tree, and then I took my computer with it playing into my room and wrapped the very few presents I had for just our immediate family, and then watched the rest of it. But we had a very, very relaxing day. Nobody came over. It was just us. We had very few presents to open. My daughter had already opened her big presents, which was a new phone. So we were just chilling, and I had seen a trailer online for Mamma Mia 2, which seems like just a very bad idea. And the trailer had little or no Meryl Streep in it, which has caused everybody to be all upset that perhaps her character is deceased, though that is not specifically said. So watching that made me want to watch the extremely goofy original. And it seemed like a good Christmas Day watch, even though it is not Christmas themed at all and is on a Greek island with a lot of sun. It's the sort of thing that you should have watched while you were sitting by the pool. But
Exactly.
there's just something, it's as we said with The Family Stone, there are movies that, while not precisely good, just appeal to you in some way. So I really enjoy watching that. It is just so goofy, and it just has such a vibe of, we took these big name actors, we put them on a Greek island, we gave them lots of alcohol, and we told them to sing. And I'm there for that. You know what? Everybody in it is just so game, and that is delightful to watch for me. So I very much enjoyed just flopping on the couch, doing sandbox while I watched Mamma Mia on Christmas Day. So I highly recommend it, even if you've seen it before, just for mindless enjoyment and laughing at famous people who are making themselves incredibly vulnerable for your delight. Oh, Pierce Brosnan. Who told you could sing? But you know what? He went for it. And I got respect.
Absolutely. So that was our holiday excitement.
And of course, what else we were doing on the holiday was watching and reading stuff for this very podcast.
That's right, including The Good Place, the 3 most recent episodes that had aired this fall, before their sort of holiday hiatus happened.
Right.
And they are called The Trolley Problem, Janet and Michael, and Derek, which has another one of our erstwhile Parks and Rec players.
Yes.
Which is, I don't know his real name as Derek, but he's the Feinstein, the entrepreneur type. So anyway, we watched those 3 and continued the just sort of hijinks and drama of the first couple ones of the season, I thought. Although now they have stopped rebooting constantly.
Yes.
And it is the 4 main characters and Michael and Janet, and they're trying to figure out a way to outsmart the bad place, I guess. And get to the good place. Yeah. The real good place, eventually. So what did you think of these? I thought The Trolley Problem, which the little summary on IMDb says, Chidi and Eleanor tackle a famous ethical dilemma leading to a conflict with Michael. Tahani confides in Janet. But the trolley problem piece of it was where Chidi explained the trolley problem idea to Michael, who then played it out in real time, sort of, for Chidi to see, and it was so funny.
So I've read about that. I mean, that's a real thing.
Yes,
that's not something they made up.
Thing.
And just to take this purely cerebral problem and like make it real. And then it's his friend on the track, and then
And Eleanor's like, whoa, that was cool how that guy's head flew out.
She is not helpful.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun.
Yes, that really was.
And in these 3 issues, we're mostly grappling with the problem of Janet having more and more of a consciousness, I guess you would say. And because of having been rebooted so many times, it's caused her to, gain some knowledge and some feelings.
Yes.
And that is problematic.
And also Michael has sort of picked up some feelings in that he couldn't kill her, even though she insisted that he do.
Right.
So that was fun. It's again, we're watching these extended episodes, and I'm watching them. These 3 I watched on the TV on my, on demand.
Yeah.
With commercials and stopping in between to go to the next one and watch it. And it's just doesn't feel the same as that first season, which I watched on Netflix, just flowing over me one to the next. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it's the show or just the manner of watching it or what. So it'll be interesting now going to watching one at a time.
Right, is it going to feel slow and
fast forwarding? I think it might be better. I think it's possible that watching too much of something, it's not as special as it is if you watch it one at a time. There was something about that in the next thing we're going to talk, the Revolution Was Televised, where somebody was talking about how they were glad their show didn't come out when binging was a thing, because you need to have a little time in between, or else it just sort of all runs together and maybe you get tired of it. So
right.
I would be interested. This would be our 3rd delivery system for this show.
That's right.
Actually, 4th, considering I watched some of them on the NBC.com site and some of them on my TV. Mm-hmm. This last batch I watched all on the TV. So, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I certainly did not, it went by quickly. I did not resent having to watch it, but I haven't been as excited about this season as I was the first season. And I really do expect it's just it's just the delivery system, I think. So we'll see how it is with one at a time, how that goes. But certainly very clever. And I just enjoy the fun it feels like these writers are having.
Yes.
Like somebody sat in a philosophy class and had to learn about the trolley problem. And now they get to pull that out of their back pocket and say, let's make...
What if?
Exactly. Let's just arbitrarily drop this in here. Not arbitrary, because Chidi it's the sort of thing he would teach. But let's see what that looks like in real life.
Right.
And the guy with the terrible boots. Let's run him over with a trolley. And poor Chidi, who can't make a decision to save his life, is having to do this in the actual event, as Eleanor called out. It was, in fact, Michael was just torturing him. Stop that.
Michael
I feel for that guy, because I'm a gray area person too. I hope I make decisions a little more in a little more lively fashion than Chidi does, but still, I can feel for him.
Yes, absolutely. I am the same.
And what do we feel about Tahani and Jason? I was listening to there's a Good Place podcast. I think it's called Forkin Bullshirt. It's the same people who do the no context, The Good Place Twitter feed. And they were one of them was feeling like they did not quite buy that relationship and didn't think it was a good idea. I think it's fun just in terms of they've been rebooted so many times. Probably any of them can randomly end up with any other one just by the law of large numbers. But yeah, I think it's kind of funny to try out, and that she's sort of, she's gotten so much disrespect from people she respects. Maybe try.
Right.
Try somebody you have nothing but disrespect for. It could work out better,
And it kind of does, yeah. Yeah, it's fun to see, and just every time you think, okay, this is really ridiculous, like I can't buy this, then he'll say something.
Yeah.
Or he'll do something and you'll be like, oh, yeah, I could see that.
I mean, he's such a sleazy character, but he's just a sweet goof, you know? It's like a little bit of both. It's the sweetness
he's not, there's no meanness to him at all. So
he did die trying to rob a restaurant, but still.
Right, but I don't think he had any, he certainly never intended to hurt anyone, like physically hurt anyone, right? Yeah. And he probably had no concept that robbing somebody
he's a complete
them.
Blank slate. He doesn't understand things that people might think are inappropriate. I was just watching, before we started talking, the clip of his wedding vows to Tommy. Yes. And he goes like, "You're like a hot teacher who sometimes has sex with me. And that happened a lot at my high school, but you won't have to go to jail." And she's like...
And at some point you find out that his name of his high school was Leonard Skinner.
Leonard Skinner High School, which is like a bunch of what was it? A bunch of ships tied together in like a vacant lot or something like that. He just, again, somebody's having a good time piling on details about that dude.
Yes. And I think I said this in the past, but the details of this are what makes it, and I think what kind of links it to a show like Parks and Rec, or maybe 30 Rock too. Just the specificity and the quirk,
right,
off the charts.
And I mean, you really do have a feeling that anything could happen at any time. That they could just throw anything in there, and that must be really fun. To come up with. And it's not like I feel like I could ever in a million years think of what's going to happen next. No. They managed to throw something else in there. Right. So it's very fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think in so many other shows, what happened in the first episode of season 2 here would have been the whole season.
Right.
Them figuring out for the second time what's going on. They could have strung that out forever. Right. They could have just done it a whole different way than they did it the first season and experimented with that. Yeah. But instead, they had them figure it out right away and over and over.
And we're off to all sorts of other things.
Right.
So this ended now with Sean at his desk, knowing apparently what went on.
Showing up to confront Michael.
Where do you think this goes from here?
Oh, boy. Good question. We will find out.
Yes.
Starting this week.
Yes, that's right. It starts on, what day does it come back?
January 4th. So Thursday evening. So from this point on, we're going to try to watch it, in real time.
Wow.
Like normal people.
Nicely timed out, Catherine. You're the one who figured that out. We got right to the point.
It was a little bit of a sprint there, but we did it. So.
Yes. Very nice.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about that every week from now on, but just one episode, depending on how NBC doles them out. So
that's right. But,
so look forward to that.
Yeah, it will be interesting having it in one little dose at a time since we've been. But
right. So we'll do that. And then for the challenge this week, for this past week, you challenged me to read a book, which is a switch.
Yeah, it's usually the other way around. Yeah. So, I was, I've been trying to think of books that would be good to challenge you to read. And I have had the updated version of The Revolution Was Televised on my side table to read since, when did it come out? I bought it right when it came out. I was very excited to see it. And it was 2015, it looks like, this updated version came out. So that is how long it has been gathering dust, right on top of the original version, which I also read. So I thought, you know what? You know what would get me to finally read that? Is if I made it a challenge on the podcast.
If you made me read it.
Because then I would have to get to it. So it's again now a little not exactly timely because things have transpired since it was published updated in 2015.
Right.
But I didn't feel like, oh yeah, I read this already. This is boring to read it again. I had forgotten enough of what I read the first time. So I really, really enjoyed reading it again. And it was something that I kept it by my desk and I kept straying from work to go read another section. And, it really kept me reading. And even though I have watched almost none of the shows that he's writing about, I still really enjoy reading about these cultural landmarks. The chapter on Lost was particularly special because I did watch it and I had observed most of the things he was thinking about, the way the fandom sort of took over figuring things out. And that was one of the most fun things about that show, was how, people came up, took it and ran with it in the most entertaining ways. And then the creators are really doomed because either they do exactly the same thing and then it's like, oh, yawn, we knew that.
We figured that out, whatever.
Or they do something different and it's like, oh, that other thing was better. So it was bad for them, but it was really fun while it lasted. But the book is about, the subtitle for the book, for those who haven't seen it, is How the Sopranos, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, Lost, and Other Groundbreaking Dramas Changed TV Forever. And it sort of starts with Oz on HBO and goes through, The Wire and Sopranos and the ones that I've just read here, and some other, The Shield and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Battlestar Galactica, mentioned some shows that, Deadwood, that Alan Sepinwall feels were sort of indicative of a massive change in the way we consume television. Both, first pay cable coming up with their own dramas, and then basic cable channels like FX and AMC, and then, networks doing things that were a little different. Friday Night Lights is another one. And how that, so he just sort of talks about how all these things have sort of brought us to a new stage of television. And of course, since the original one was written, all these streaming services have come in too. So we're now in this state of peak TV where there's really way too much TV to even think about consuming. So I'm sure that will be another book somewhere down the line. But Alan Sepinwall has always been somebody I've enjoyed reading and listening to on his podcasts. First Firewall and Iceberg, and now TV Avalanche. And reading his work on Hit Fix and now Up Rocks. So a whole book of it is just a delightful way to spend however much time I can carve away to sit and read a book. What did you think of it? Because you have it. Were there any of the shows that he wrote about that you watched?
Not really. I mean, I had seen pieces of several of them.
You watched one episode of Lost.
I watched one episode of Lost.
Which does get a mention.
Right. And also it doesn't have its own section, Hill Street Blues, but there is a paragraph about the one that we just recently watched.
Right. Trial by Fury.
And
that's in the section of things that sort of paved the way for this revolution. We're not actually part of it, but...
Right. Things happened before.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd seen tiny bits of Breaking Bad and Mad Men, and like you, I was sort of aware of many things, but without having actually watched them. So it's fascinating and it certainly does make you want to go back and watch some things. Although I would still be afraid of the commitment, because true. I'd want to watch everything.
Yeah. Like a lot of them are shorter seasons, though. So that's helpful. Yeah. That it's not like, 7 years of 23 episodes of The West Wing.
Yeah.
So that's helpful.
But I thought the arguments were really strong and well done. And he's got a lot of perspectives from people who worked on these shows that he brings in, as well
both the
as
creators
the sort of,
and the studios and the networks.
Yeah, and that, along with his critical analysis, is really comprehensive.
Yeah.
I felt like I learned a lot.
I did too. And some of them it did make me want to watch again. But the only thing I immediately went to check out was let's see, I'm going to use a euphemism from The Good Place. The scene in The Wire that all the dialogue was fork. You can find it on YouTube, and it is indeed quite something.
It's really forking something, huh?
It really is. So, but yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed reading it again. I look forward. I hope if he's going to update it again or whatever new he reads. I asked for 2 more of his books. The Breaking Bad one he just came out with, and I think it's called TV the Book. I think that he wrote with another author. So I've got a bunch of Sepinwall lined up to read, and if I like them, I'll make you read them too.
All right.
But, anybody, I think it's still, the Kindle version is still very inexpensive on Amazon.
It's still $1.99
yes.
as of this
So
recording.
if you are listening to this podcast and you are interested in TV, do not be scared off if you have not watched these particular shows. It's very easy to follow whether you have or not. It's really more about how things come about and what the creators think about it and, the various different situations that come up during the making of a show and how shows end and things like that. So it's not dependent on having watched it. And it will give you a good background, a good solid knowledge of this particular very, very important era of TV.
Right. And a lot of emphasis on how things got started and how they finished.
Yeah, definitely.
So that you feel like you really have a good sense of the entire arc of a show, of a series from beginning to end.
Finish was a big issue with a lot of these shows.
Yeah. Which was interesting.
Certainly Sopranos one was very controversial. Deadwood's stopping when it did was very controversial, and poor John from Cincinnati got wiped out in the wake of that. And
The Sopranos was another one that I did watch quite a bit of it.
I did watch some of it too. It was one of those, whenever I watched it, I thought, wow, this is really good. I'm going to keep watching this. And then things would come up.
Right.
And I never did really stick with it. Which is why I said, the next one HBO does, I'm going to watch. And it was John from Cincinnati.
And it turned out to be not a big commitment at all.
By golly, I watched the whole thing, but it was, not a big commitment. So, and
I think The Sopranos was during the era where we had like one of those pirate cable boxes that let you watch everything.
Yeah.
That we somehow inherited, or I don't acquired under questionable means, I guess.
Yeah, we did have HBO. I don't know why. I think I was raising kids and falling asleep and not able to really watch the beginning of my era of not really being able to watch that much TV. Yeah. So, unfortunately, because I would have been all over it like in my 20s if that had come up. But I think it was just a little too, because I used to watch things. Most of the things in the precursors to this wonderful revolution, most of the things in that section I watched. Right. I watched Twin Peaks, I watched Hill Street Blues, St. Elsewhere, a lot of that stuff. I just, the wave came when I was already underwater for other reasons. But my husband said he watched like a little of the Battlestar Galactica and did not care for it. He's definitely not a Revolution follower. He does not like those kinds of shows. So, he liked the old Battlestar Galactica.
Right.
That they were roundly dissing in this book. But,
And that Edward James almost said, if you like that, then you should not watch this.
And my husband followed that advice.
Right.
But I've always been a little curious about it. So I've seen the odd episode of Buffy and Friday Night Lights. But again, just really nothing.
Yeah, I think Friday Night Lights would be one of the ones that I would enjoy. Like if I had the chance to start from the beginning and watch that whole thing, I think I would like it a lot.
Yeah, some of them seem like they would be a tough watch, but that one, with the possible exception of the first half of the second season, that sounds like it would be an enjoyable thing. Right. The show overall, and I like the people in it. So, one day, I will have nothing to do and will just consume mass quantities of television. And
because there will be nothing new between now and that distant day.
Yes, this is the problem. If TV could just stop.
Right.
Just stop now, and then
just
I'll catch up with it all.
Remember they talked about in the beginning of the Emmys one time. Oh, that was the that was the opening.
That's right. It seems like, in The Bad Place, this is one of the things that would happen. You would have a few moments to catch up, and there would be 500 TV series. And as you're trying to catch up with one of them, 500 more would be.
Right.
And everybody would be talking about them. It's like, and you could never catch up.
Never.
There would always be something new.
Well, see, that's not just the bad place. I think that's real life.
This is real world torture.
Yes.
Streamings, everything. Yes. Every time you turn around, there's some hot new show.
Well, to just kind of cleanse the palate for next week for the challenge, we'll get away from serious TV and drama, and we will watch the movie Bridesmaids, which is nothing but silliness and, gross out jokes, but a very adorable Chris Dowd also in it.
Alrighty then.
So that is going to be my challenge to you for next week.
A movie and one pristine lone episode of television.
Exactly.
No binging, just...
That's right.
One episode. I wonder if I could actually sit down and watch it when it actually airs.
Whoa. Major.
Yes. We could, text to each other while we watch it. We could live tweet it.
Live tweet. I'm sure we wouldn't be the only ones.
I'm sure not. Well, it's good to have ambitions. I will be asleep on the couch when it airs, though, so...
Yeah, I'll probably be driving to an ice rink or something.
Very bad for me to sit in front of the TV.
In fact, I know I'll be at an ice rink. I do already know that. So there you go.
Oh, well. Well, all we have to do is...
That was fun while it lasted.
Yes. It's good to dream.
So, yes, for next week, we'll watch that one episode of Good Place. It's called Leap to Faith. And Bridesmaids, as we discussed, which you can rent on iTunes, I believe is our means of acquisition for that one.
Yes.
And that's going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and weekly group chats. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Bye, Terri.
Bye, Catherine.
Bye, everyone.